After 12 o'clock, Prague's Chodov substation went out. Part of Prague suffered a power outage after noon, pre-reported. According to it, the cause is a power outage at the Chiep's Chodov substation and technicians are working on repairs. 12:20 Prague traffic collapse due to a power outage in most of Prague. Trams and metro lines A, B and C are not running, the transport company said on its website around noon today. According to it, the outage affects the right bank part of the capital. 12:23 people are being rescued from elevators in Prague. Firefighters are going out to people trapped in elevators all over Prague. We are currently responding to a wave of cases of people being rescued from elevators, but also to reported cases of smoke. However, so far it has always been smoke from diesel generators that started up after a power outage, said Fire Department spokesman Miroslav Zhizach. 12:25 Prague is without power. A large part of Prague has been hit by a large-scale blackout. Apart from people in elevators, the metro and trams are not running. ATMs. Traffic lights are not working and there are problems in restaurants and shops. 12:27 Luckily, Prague Airport is operating without any problems. According to Prague Airport spokesperson Denisa Hechtmankova, it is operating including departures. 12:28 Restaurants are having problems where people cannot pay by card. Dozens of people reportedly had such problems in the Vino-Ready Parliament. ATMs are said to be out of order. 12:29 Complications across the country. Outages are being reported not only from Prague, but from much of the rest of the Czech Republic. Mladá Boleslav, Ústí nad Labem, Hradec Králové are reporting power outages. For example, 12:31 part of the Ústí nad Labem region is without power. Power outage in Ústí nad Labem region affects Teplice, Ústí nad Labem, and other cities. 12:35 power outage in Liberec region. In addition to Prague and the Ústí nad Labem region, there are also complications in the Liberec region. The outage is recorded in the Liberec, Jablonec, and Český Liptov regions. Trams are not running in Liberec. 12:39, a transmission system outage occurred. This is a transmission system outage. We are investigating the exact cause and extent, said Hanna Klimova, a spokesperson for the transmission system administrator CHEP's. The causes are being investigated, and CHEP's energy engineers are working intensively to restore electricity supplies. 12:40 outage in Pardubice region. People in the Pardubice region are also reporting power outages. Blackout also in Prague, Central Bohemia, Hradec Králové, Liberec and Ústí nad Labem regions. 12:42 Firefighters are solving complications with the blackout. Firefighters on the X network report that they are registering problems with power outages. 12:45 Problems also in the Olomouc region. Part of the Olomouc region was also affected. People in Jeseník are reporting problems. The regional capital itself apparently does not have a problem. 12:47 People stuck in elevators. Central Bohemia firefighters are going to help people stuck in elevators. Due to power outages, they are intervening in 12 places, including Mladá Boleslav, Podbrady and Kolín. 12:48 The police have increased patrols. In connection with the power outage, we have increased patrol activities in the affected areas, and our colleagues are directing traffic at selected intersections in the affected cities, the police said on the X network. The police are also guarding the CHEP's complex in Chodov. 12:53 Due to extensive power outages, there are irregularities in train operations. For example, there are no services on the Žilina Votis, Kolín Vyšetati and Olomouc Šumperk lines. 12:55 Hospitals are prepared for the outage, and patients are fine. Minister of Health Vlastimil Valek published a post on the X network in which he assures the public that there are no significant problems in hospitals in connection with the outage. 12:58 Chirpis. Outage of line version 411. At this moment, we can confirm that there was an outage of line V411, and subsequently the creation of island traffic on north and east of the Czech Republic, Chirpis said on X. According to them, part of the transmission system is without voltage. The event subsequently affected a larger part of the transmission system substations. The causes are being investigated. CHEP's energy engineers are working intensively to restore electricity supplies. The V411 line is the highest voltage level line in the Czech Republic. These lines are used to output high power from power plants and to transmit electricity over long distances. 1302 Firefighters in the Olomouc region have so far recorded 8 interventions in connection with the blackout, when they had to go out to help people. Most of the trips were mainly in the Jesenice and Šumperk regions. 1309. Hospitals are running on backup power sources. The power outage only affected some Prague university hospitals. For example, the University Hospital Královské Vinohrady and the Institute of Clinical and Experimental Medicine in Kruč. Acute care was not affected in any way. We are running on diesel generators. Elective, planned care is suspended for the time being. We are limiting operations in non-medical parts of the hospital, the deputy director said at 1300. The University Hospital Bulovka has also switched to generators. They will cover operations for at least 24 hours. The ambulance is in a limited mode. Currently, X-rays and CT scans are not running, added spokeswoman Eva Stelejda Libigerova. Acute care is without restrictions. On the other hand, the largest hospital in the country, the University Hospital in Motol, was not affected by the outage, nor were the Tomea University Hospital or the General University Hospital. They are connected to other power networks. 1310. The Prague Metro runs without complications. The Prague Metro lines A, B and C run without complications from 1300. Operation has been restored to its full extent. Trams run with restrictions on the right bank of the Vltava. The only restriction on the metro is the Želivského station, which trains pass through. The transport company has temporarily replaced trolleybus number 58 with buses. 1312. The electricity distributor PRE informs on its website that it is currently recording outages in Prague 3, 4, 8 and 10. Supplies should be restored at 1400. 1313. At the moment, the police have no information that a cyber or terrorist attack is behind the extensive power outage in the Czech Republic. They reported this on the X network. 1315. Outage at the Litvinov chemical plant. Due to the extensive power outage that affected the most region, we have to burn excess production in the Litvinov refinery in a controlled manner using safety burners, said Orlen Unipetrol spokesman Pavel Kydal, 1318. The police operations center in the Ústí nad Labem is out of order. The police operations center in Ústí nad Labem was affected by a power outage. The power outages also affected our operations center in the Ústí nad Labem region, which provides the emergency call line. Its function is being taken over by the surrounding centers in neighboring regions, and callers will not know the difference, they said on the X network. 1322. The massive power outage in the Czech Republic was also recorded by foreign media. For example, the website of the British newspaper Daily Mirror even reported on it in an online report. A complete power outage. People are not panicking, even though the streets are quiet, tourist Charles Rayner Dems told the server, who was caught in a power outage in a Prague hotel. The websites of the Swiss newspaper Blick and the Polish Super Express also wrote about the blackout. There is chaos. It is not known how long it will take to eliminate the malfunction. It is probably all due to the heat, but it is not certain yet, writes the latter server. Which reminds us that a large-scale blackout affected Spain and parts of Portugal and France at the end of April this year. 1326. The Central Bohemian Rescue Service declares an emergency. They have a list of gas stations where they can refuel from the firefighters. We have also sent all crews who can to refuel ambulances to ensure readiness. At the exit stations that were affected by the power outage, we are trying to strengthen the number of crews on duty, she added. 1328. The power outage affected 8 substations of the transmission system, 5 of which are now back in operation, CEP said. The cause of the problems was a fallen phase conductor. 1336. Backup sources at the hospital have started to work. The faculty hospital of Hradec Králové was affected by a short blackout. Just like other places in Hradec Králové, the hospital confirmed on the X network. All backup systems worked perfectly. Hospitalized patients in the ICU or other departments did not experience the outage. Thanks to the backup sources, the operating rooms were able to function without restrictions even during the outage. The remaining systems that are not needed for critical infrastructure are currently being started up, and the hospital is returning to normal operation. 1337. A third of Czech prisons found themselves without power supplies due to the blackout. Security is certainly not at risk. We are going to backup sources. Every prison must have a backup source, said a spokeswoman for the prison service. She added that power supplies are already being restored in some prisons and the situation is changing for the better. 1338. Mobile and online banking were not affected by the power outage. Banks have backup sources. Some ATMs are not working, the Czech Banking Association reported. Some shops had to close due to today's power outage in parts of the Czech Republic. 1339. Firefighters are evacuating some trains due to a power outage on the railway. It is a train in Úvalí, Dolní Počinec and Lukáčov. A train with about 150 people is stopped near Podhradí. 1340. According to CEP spokesman Lukáš Hrubal, the failure of the V411 line occurred due to mechanical reasons. 1341. In the Ústí nad Labem and Liberec regions, as elsewhere, firefighters are prioritizing people stuck in elevators. In the Ústí nad Labem region, we had the first such case reported at 12:04. And within the next half hour, 17 more cases were reported, said Fire Department spokesman Milan Rudolf. 1345. The Ministry of the Interior has issued a series of advice on how to proceed in the event of a large-scale power outage and natural disaster. People should act with caution and not go outside unnecessarily, not block roads. They should also save batteries in their mobile phones, have a battery-powered radio ready, and follow official information. It is also advisable to have at least 3 days' worth of water and food supplies. People should not open the refrigerator and freezer unnecessarily. Have cash at home, and should prepare flashlights, blankets, and warm clothing. They should also help the injured and their neighbors. 1349. Paintings in the National Galleries untouched. In connection with today's extensive power outage, we can confirm on behalf of the Ministry of Culture that the safety of collections was not threatened in any of our affected organizations. 1358. False fire reports. Firefighters were kept busy, especially at the very beginning of the power outage, by a number of reports from people who claim to see smoke from a fire. 1405. Electricity is now working in the Bulovka University Hospital, the Vinohrady University Hospital, and the Institute of Clinical and Experimental Medicine. 1409. The Prague ambulance service is operating without restrictions, as is line 155. They are operating in the non-accident trauma plan mode. Immediately after receiving information about the power outage at 12 o'clock. The ZZSHMP crisis staff met and subsequently the dispatching staff was reinforced, the ambulance service said on the X network. 1413. The Vyshkov substation, which had an initial problem with the supply of electricity. It is located in the Louny district. It supplies the area around Louny and the eastern part of the Ústí nad Labem region. 1414. The Central Crisis Staff will meet at 1600. Fiala gave his consent to the Austrian to convene the Central Crisis Staff at 1600. He considers the restoration of electricity supplies and the safety of citizens to be a priority. 1416. Litvinov chemical plant stopped operations due to the power outage. The Litvinov chemical plant Orlin and the Ústí nad Labem Spolkami stopped operations. Part of the Ústí nad Labem region is without power. 1419. Restaurants will lose money. Today's restaurant sales will drop by at least 70% due to the power outage. They lost lunches, people are cancelling reservations for the evening. 1425. In connection with the extensive power outage, we are currently dealing with 215 rescues from elevators, firefighters said on the X network. 1428. In Prague, we have gradually managed to restore power supplies to the traction line. This will also restore operation on the Prague-Kolín section, said the spokesman for the Railway Administration Martin Kavka. Rail transport will gradually be restored. 1440. Shlukhnov Spur is still without power in the Semily region and part of Liberec. Power supply has already been restored. However, areas such as Českolipsko or Shlukhnov Spur are still without power. This shows that the Babylon transmission network substation, located near Svolinky in the Český Lipský region, and which distributes energy to parts of the Liberec and Ústí nad Labem regions, is still out of service. 1445. A power outage at the main railway station in Prague caused major problems. Most connections are significantly delayed. The departure board flashes that trains will depart 20, but also 180 minutes later. 1516. All transmission system substations in the Czech Republic are back in service. Electricity supplies are now gradually being restored in the distribution networks of individual regions. The transmission system operator CEPs announced this before 1500. Power outages affected parts of Prague, the Liberec, Ústí nad Labem, and central Bohemian regions and eastern Bohemia around noon. Energy experts do not yet know the exact cause of the problems. 1525. Due to a large-scale power outage, trains are currently not running on the Vryany Ústí nad Labem, Durín and Ústí nad Labem, most sections. Traffic on several other lines has already been restored, including sections from Prague. 1526. Due to a power outage, some small villages in the Kolín region and around Kostelec nad Černými Lesy, where water is supplied by Kolín's Energy AG, are without drinking water. Supplies are being gradually restored, but the company cannot estimate how long it will take to achieve this in all places, said an employee of the Energy AG dispatch center. We cannot estimate the estimated time for operation now. It could be 2 hours. The Kolín power plant does not supply steam. So this also applies to hot utility water, said the dispatcher. The company ensures the supply of drinking water for more than 60,000 residents. It operates water supply networks with a length of 510 kilometers in more than 50 municipalities in the Kolín region, the areas of Kostelec nad Černými Lazy, Týnek nad Labem and Skvorek in the Prague East District. 1528. Czech EPS reported on the X network about the causes of Friday's extensive power outage. As a result of a phase conductor falling, the transmission system V411 line failed and Unit 6 of the Ledvice power plant failed, they wrote, adding that another system V208 was overloaded and the Krasikov substation failed. Subsequently, a part of the transmission system was disconnected, which could not be operated, they added. 1540. Firefighters have recorded over 300 events in connection with the blackout by 1530. Technical interventions dominate, especially rescuing people stuck in elevators. 1551. Tram traffic in Prague has returned to normal after today's massive power outage. All tram lines were affected. No metro was running for about 30 minutes. 1605. Czech EPS announced on the X network 5 minutes before 4 in the afternoon that they were declaring a state of emergency for the entire Czech Republic. Based on Section 54 of Act No. 458 2000 Col. The Czech EPS Dispatch Center announces, effective from 4 July 2025 12 o'clock, the situation of declaring a state of emergency for the entire territory of the Czech Republic. The expected duration is 8 hours, they said. 1630. Czech EPS declared the so-called warning level of electricity supply regulation. The supplied capacity is not reduced in any way, but it is a warning of possible restrictions on the consumed power. This occurs when the so-called regulation levels 1 to 7 are announced. The primary cause of the blackout was a fallen phase conductor, said Chips. This put the backbone line and the block in Ledvice out of operation, and the Krasikov substation went out. 1703. Tens of thousands of customers are still without power after almost 5 hours of a large-scale power outage in the Czech Republic. Energy companies are gradually restoring electricity supplies, but at the same time they must continue to regulate electricity flows so that the system does not become overloaded. 1711. The blackout also affected firefighters in the Ústí nad Labem region. Due to mobile network outages, the emergency lines 112 and 150 are operating with restrictions. Between 1204 and 1645, firefighters responded to 46 incidents, mostly due to people stuck in elevators. They are also involved in securing basic elements of critical infrastructure. 1717. There should no longer be a municipality in the Liberec region without electricity supplies. Energy workers have also managed to restore them in the České Lipské region and in the Friedlandský Výběžek. 1719. The refinery in Litvínov has electricity supplies again, Unipetrol said. Technicians are checking the status of the production units and are gradually restoring production. 1749. After the crisis staff meeting, the outage occurred as a result of a technical fault. 500,000 points of consumption were without electricity, now about 2,000 are affected. 1802. The power outage affected dozens of trains and other public transport. However, the first trains were able to start running at 1:30, and by 1720 the entire railway network was powered. Operation has been restored, and passengers will gradually board delayed trains. Air traffic was not affected in any way. 1808. During the day, around 200 petrol stations of various operators were out of service due to the power outage. The situation is gradually returning to normal here too. There is no threat of a fuel shortage on the Czech market due to the interruption of production at the Litvínov refinery. Production should be restored within a few days. 1809. President Petr Pavel commented on the blackout on the X network and wrote, "I appreciate the work of firefighters, police officers, energy workers and other departments that participated and are still participating in solving the extensive power outage and its consequences. I also appreciate all citizens who remained calm in an unpleasant situation." Similar events remind us of how important thorough preparation for crisis situations is, not only at the state level, but also at the individual level. 1810. Electricity supplies have been restored to all points of consumption in the Czech Republic after a large-scale power outage. Originally, 1 million domestic customers were without electricity due to the blackout. This was announced at a press conference by Minister of Industry and Trade Lukáš Vulček, and the head of the transmission system operator ČEP's Martin Duriak. According to them, the outage was the result of a cascade effect of a series of technical failures, starting with a fallen phase conductor. The cause of the failure will still be investigated by the state. 1811. Investments are a necessity. Friday's large-scale power outage in part of the Czech Republic showed the sensitivity of the energy system to fluctuations in production and consumption, especially in the summer. Moreover, the risk of similar outages has been increasing recently, which is why investments in further strengthening networks are important.